Good morning, everybody! Good morning, it's JPR, and welcome back to another video. A little over 4 years ago, I created this video around the height of the Kalos League arc in the anime known as What is Ash Ketchum's Ultimate Team? Many of you may already be familiar with it since it's by far my most popular video. It's also by far my most disliked video, and I'm gonna say that was warranted. There were a few mistakes, some questionable decisions, and some data uses evidence that didn't hold up very well. Like Goodra's 100% win rate at that time. That man got absolutely mollywopped at that league. If you haven't seen that video yet, please for the love of God don't watch it. This one will be way better, I promise. So, this is a topic I've been wanting to revisit for a while, and now that enough time has finally passed, I think I can say with confidence that we can remake Ash Ketchum's dream team to be better than before. And who knows, since Ash's goal in the current series is to defeat Leon and become the world champion, maybe we will get to see his fabled best team in action one day soon. Unlike the last video, I'm not going to spend a lot of time going over each of Ash's Pokemon individually, because I'll trust that since you're watching this video, you at least have some knowledge of which Pokemon are already considered Ash's aces. And plus, I like to take that time to flesh out some of my points a bit better than before. One last thing, thank you guys so very much for 90,000 subscribers. We've been doing awesome lately. Believe it or not, if we keep this up, there's a slight chance that we could reach 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your dog, tell your 3 backup Gmail accounts. I mean, what? Anyhow, let's get started. Defending his previously earned slot on the team. Come on, do I really need to say it? It's Ash's Pikachu. Though, believe it or not, there were actually some people arguing that Ash's Pikachu doesn't deserve a slot in the Ultimate Team since his power levels have been pretty inconsistent for years now. But I feel like you can't really use that to take away from Pikachu's amazing accomplishments, and his resume has only gotten better since last time. When we previously touched on Pikachu, he had already defeated more legendary Pokemon than any of Ash's other Pokemon, bringing down Brandon's Regice and Tobias's Latios. In the Alola League, Pikachu added to this already impressive list by taking down Gladion, Silvally, and the Tapu Koko being used by Professor Kukui in back-to-back battles. Yes, Pikachu does still have his uncharacteristically off days, but it seems like when it comes to the big-time battles, whether it be in gyms or the league, Pikachu always brings his A-game. I don't think there's much more to say here. Can you really call it Ash's best team if his prime partner Pikachu isn't a part of it? Another Pokemon easily defending his slot on the Ultimate Team is Ash's Greninja. Now wait, I know, Greninja lost the Kalos League Finals, was released by Ash shortly afterward, and is now working as Zygarde's personal Kalos region weed whacker, but hear me out. First of all, just like in the previous video, we're assuming that this is happening in a perfect world where Ash has access to all the Pokemon he owned at one point, including released ones like Greninja. And if recent teases mean anything, I would say there's a high chance that Greninja could reappear before Journeys is over with anyway. After all, Ash has used previously released Pokemon before, so there's no reason why this couldn't be on the table. While not defeating any legendary Pokemon on his run through Kalos, Ash's Greninja was able to take down a handful of Mega Evolutions, including Wolfric's Abomasnow, Sawyer's Sceptile, and aided in the takedown of Lysander's Mega Gyarados. While he didn't get to complete the battle against Champion Diantha, he was also remarkably close to scoring a win against her Mega Gardevoir as well. This Greninja is no slouch, and I think there's reason to believe that Greninja keeps in good shape while doing his yard-keeping duties around Kalos. Unlike Goodra, who was just chilling in the swamp with his homies. That man was basically retired from battling, we should have expected it. And if my words aren't enough to convince you, let me hand it off to the Ash Greninja expert, Lumiose trainer Zach. Take it away, buddy.
Now I know what you're thinking. How is Greninja so strong with his trash tier moveset? Listen man, this ain't the games. Don't let moves like Cut, Aerial Ace, and Double Team fool you. These are all ninja type of attacks, so obviously the ninja Pokemon Greninja would be the best at using them. With Double Team, he can avoid you and then come in for the kill with Cut. You won't even see him coming with Aerial Ace, and do I have to mention Water Shuriken? It's a move that clearly gets stronger in the Ash Greninja form, and can grow in size and power when he's giving it his all. I never want to hear anyone talk bad about his moveset again. Show some respect.
Also defending his slot on the team from the previous video, Ash's Hoenn ace, Sceptile. Now yes, I have seen Zach's video on Ash's overrated Pokemon, including Sceptile, because he really only ever won 2 or 3 notable battles, but we can't forget that one of those was Tobias's Darkrai. As a matter of fact, he's the only Pokemon in the entire history of the Pokemon world that we know of who has a win on Tobias's Darkrai. Granted, Gible and Heracross at least deserve partial credit for wearing it down. Also, think about Sceptile's Grass-type competition. Not much has changed since the Kalos League regarding Ash's Grass-type Pokemon. He added Rowlet to his team in Alola, who could be surprisingly competent at times, but that's the only Grass type he's caught since then. In that particular department, I strongly believe that Sceptile is still uncontested, but that's mainly because Bulbasaur has long been retired from battling. With his current moveset being Quick Attack, Leaf Blade, Leaf Storm, and an unknown fourth move, Sceptile may not seem like the strongest pick to some people, but as we've seen, Ash's Pokemon's moves can change drastically while training without him at Oak's lab. Plus, this is the Pokemon anime we're talking about. Moves don't usually have a one-to-one translation with their game counterparts. So realistically, I think this problem isn't as big as some people make it out to be. We've seen completely average or even mediocre movesets by game standards work just fine in the anime countless times before, so I'm not counting that against Sceptile or any other Pokemon in this list. While I do agree that Ash's Sceptile is slightly overrated by fans, not many others fill out this corner of the team quite like he does. For that reason, I see no problem in Sceptile returning to the Ultimate Team. The fourth slot of Ash's Ultimate Team will be occupied by our first newcomer, Ash's Lycanrock. Despite Sun and Moon not being an incredibly battle-oriented series, Ash's Lycanrock was almost always the one to watch whenever one did happen. It's no secret Ash's Lycanrock's biggest accomplishment is earning Ash his first league championship. That wasn't the Orange League, as it defeated Gladion's Lycanrock in the finals of the Alola League. But arguably even more impressive than that was Lycanrock being able to defeat Island Kahuna Nanu in a 3 vs 1 battle. During that same arc, Lycanrock was able to overcome its hatred of getting dirty and learned how to channel its rage into becoming an even better battler. Plus, you know that with him living with Professor Kukui, aka the Masked Royal, he's more than likely still getting his fair share of competitive battles in. I think the main argument against Ash's Lycanrock would be that he won many of his battles through the usage of Z-moves, which Ash no longer would have access to, but even without Z-moves, I believe Ash's Lycanrock has demonstrated himself more than worthy of being on this list. I mean, he is able to counter another Pokemon's counter. You can't ever take that away from him. Now, I want to take a brief break to discuss some Pokemon from the previous video who will not be returning to Ash's Ultimate Team. First up, we've already name-dropped him a few times in this video, so let's get Ash's poor Goodra out of the way. Yes, at one point Ash's Goodra was a considerable powerhouse during his short-lived Kalos journey, even boasting a perfect 100% win record as of his first release midway through the series. But it's evidently clear that he did not keep up his training in the wetlands and was ultimately very underwhelming during his return in the Kalos League finals and the Team Flare arc. Though I feel like he mostly had to be shafted to make room for Greninja, like the rest of Ash's XY team. It's tough to say because Goodra is honestly one of my favorites that Ash has ever owned. I love almost everything about it, but it's just really hard for me to justify why he still deserves to be on the team at this point. Ash's Crocodile was a bit closer to keeping his spot, but ultimately the competition just raised the bar too high for him to clear it. Crocodile was certainly not a bad Pokemon, and definitely the best of Ash's Unova team. Low bar, I know. And like Goodra, he is one of my favorites. But you look back on Crocodile's resume and his wins just don't hold up in comparison to the others. Crocodile's most notable wins arguably came against Stefan's Ace Sock in the top 16 round of the Unova League, and against Iris's Dragonite in the Junior Cup tournament. Though this was at a point in time where Dragonite wasn't fully listening to Iris, which could have easily swayed the battle in Crocodile's favor. Again, he's still a really good Pokemon, and he arguably has the most versatile moveset of any of Ash's Pokemon, but in my opinion, he just hasn't proven himself quite enough. Ash's Snorlax will also not be returning to the team, as I had previously split his slot with Crocodile, since they could be interchangeable depending on the foe that Ash fights. Again, I just think the competition outdoes him now. Many people were quick to point out that Snorlax should be a lock for Ash's Ultimate Team because during his last full battle appearance in Battle Frontier, he was able to wield 6 different moves at once: Body Slam, Headbutt, Hyper Beam, Ice Punch, Protect, and Rest. But here's my rebuttal to that point. Pokemon using more than 4 moves at once actually wasn't too uncommon in the earlier days of the Pokemon anime. In fact, Drake's Dragonite once used 10 moves in the same battle during the Orange League Championship. Many times this was done on purpose to help demonstrate a Pokemon's power. But as time has gone on, the anime has adhered more and more to the 4-move limit set by the games. By the time the Black and White anime began, Pokemon with more than 4 moves were completely wiped out. So I have no doubt that if Snorlax were to return in the current series, he would be forced to play by the same rules as all the rest of Ash's Pokemon. That's not to say that he still wouldn't be incredibly powerful, but maybe not on the level that many expect him to be. In the 5th slot, I once again have to say, it's a toss-up between Infernape and Charizard. This is where a lot of the outrage from the original video stemmed from, since ultimately I decided that Infernape was more deserving the spot than Charizard in the end. Many people criticize the usage of the winning percentage chart that I used to argue for Infernape, since Charizard willingly brought many of his own losses on himself by being disobedient or outright lazy at times, which admittedly is something that I didn't consider at the time. Plus, he does have a win on the legendary Articuno, while Infernape sadly does not have any wins against legendary Pokemon. So yes, I did read a lot of complaints and went back over the evidence, but even so, it is so hard to determine which of these Pokemon is truly superior to the other. For every argument you can make in favor of Charizard, there is just as much of a counter-argument for Infernape. Charizard trained with the elites. Infernape was probably Ash's most well-trained and well-understood Pokemon. Charizard beat a legendary. Infernape overcame crippling poison damage to defeat half of Paul's team, including Electivire. Charizard has used and mastered 18 different moves. Infernape has used and mastered a devastatingly powerful Blaze ability. This really might be the Pokemon debate to end all Pokemon debates right here. I don't think there will ever be a definitive answer as to which one is better. So you know what? We'll come back to it. Because the 6th slot on the team is another toss-up between two of Ash's newest Pokemon, Dragonite and Lucario. Now I know what you guys are thinking. Seriously, JPR, you have lost your mind. Lucario and Dragonite are far too unproven to be on Ash's ultimate team. But this is me doing a little bit of a future sight, if you will, and hoping it goes a lot better than the last time I tried it with Goodra. It is abundantly clear that Lucario is going to be the ace of Ash's Journey's team. Ever since he hatched from an egg as Riolu, he has basically become Ash's second walking Pokemon behind Pikachu. Sometimes actually before Pikachu, as we've recently seen in the battles against Eternatus and Mewtwo. Riolu did get off to a rather rough start, but it would honestly not surprise me if he later becomes one of Ash's most reliable Pokemon. He is already improved at an astonishingly fast pace. As a fighting and steel type, he does have some competition from Heracross and Melmetal, but in my opinion, it's not far-fetched for Lucario to become way stronger than both of them in the near future. Sorry, Farfetch'd, that's the only mention you'll be getting in this video. Now let's talk about Dragonite. For people who have kept up with Journeys, this pick may seem even more puzzling than Lucario. After all, Dragonite appears to be much more of a lover than a fighter, and has hardly had any screen time at all so far, despite being the first Pokemon that Ash caught in the new series. But even without proper training, it's very clear that Dragonite is not to be messed with. Remember how Ash's Pikachu had to try incredibly hard multiple times to defeat Karina's Mega Lucario? Well, Dragonite took it down first try with little to no training whatsoever. In fact, he had to take down both of Karina's Pokemon since Ash's Gengar went down surprisingly fast. Now, that could just be an example of bad writing, but of course we have to consider the alternative solution, which is just that Dragonite is freakishly strong. Unfortunately, that's the only real example I can give so far, but hey, at least he also boasts a great move pool consisting of Dragon Dance, Dragon Claw, Hurricane, and Hyper Beam. I know 2 of those moves are special and Dragon Dance shouldn't affect them, but it's the anime, just roll with it. Plus, if you have Hyper Beam in your moveset in the anime, you're almost guaranteed a free KO. While I don't think we'll see as much development or growth out of Dragonite compared to Lucario, I would still say he deserves to be in the conversation. But how do we determine the last 2 slots with 4 seemingly evenly matched Pokemon? The obvious answer is to give both slots to Infernape and Charizard since they're the most proven, but then you have a type imbalance. I'd like to keep it to 1 type each if possible. I know Ash has had no qualms with using multiple Pokemon of the same type on his team before, but for the sake of balance, let's just go ahead and lay down this one rule. So how about an A team and a B team to avoid repeating types? On A team, we have Charizard and Lucario, and on B team, we have Infernape and Dragonite. That way, each team only has 1 fire type, 1 flying type, and 1 fighting type. This is the only division that would really work. And I know, it may seem like a cop-out to have 2 ultimate teams. People were already mad when I divided Crocodile and Snorlax in the last video, but realistically, you would need it to be this way. We have to consider who is Ash fighting against. In the case of this series, we can assume it's Leon, which in my opinion would make his B team with Infernape and Dragonite slightly more favorable than his A team, just based off the Pokemon that Leon uses in the games. So if I had to choose one over the other, I'm going B team.
Your blade. It did not come deep enough.
But Leon also has more than 6 Pokemon he could realistically use. Because of this, I think it's important that Ash have 2 teams that he could swap to on the fly, so long as the core team of Pikachu, Sceptile, Greninja, and Lycanrock stays the same. What's that? You want a C team? Okay, here's the best possible team that you could use if you're trying to get wins with Ash's Pokemon and Pokemon Showdown in the most competitive single battle format possible, none of their stats from the anime being considered. Greninja, Dragonite, Melmetal, Naganadel, Gliscor, and Gengar. Don't take this one too seriously, I didn't consider anything but their tiers, so if you go on Showdown with this team and lose, don't come crying to me about how Ash's Pokemon are terrible. Figure it out for yourself, you can make a balance. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed, or at least enjoyed this video more than the original. Believe me, I tried to address as much of the criticism as I could. Again, if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do subscribe for more videos like this one and help us out on the road to 100K, and hit that like button if you really enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time.